people, how are you, my dear net aspirants? Welcome back to yet another video session of our lecture series about literary theory and criticism that is going on in our channel known as High Point. And this is the best place for you to have net and JRF English language and literature related study materials in a systematic way. Okay, so let's begin today's class. Today's class is going to be about Longinus on the Sublimes. I know that most of you are familiar with the concepts that Longinus discusses in his work, in his one of the classical work of literary criticism known as On the Sublime. So yeah, let's begin this video. Before that, I am present in these platforms. You can follow me in these platforms. Visit my website www.highpoint.in. Instagram ID is right here, where I am sharing daily basis reels, short videos, study cards and many more things, and of course quizzes going on in my story. And also you can follow me in Instagram, search for this ID and you will get to me, and yeah, follow me there if you want to have free study materials. And also if you want to join a WhatsApp group in which I am sharing daily quiz questions and answers, and to the news and updates related to NTA UGC net, and also some study materials as well, then you can obviously go to the description box and click the link and join. If not, you can directly message me in this number, not only to join for the WhatsApp group and also known for the course that we are providing for NTA UGC net JRF English language and literature in my website www.highpoint.in, where a 15% of off is going on, guys. So let's begin. If you are interested, message me or directly go to the website and join the course. Once you have joined the course, if you are interested, message me, then you will get two bonuses. What are they? Weekly test and personalized study guide. To know more, WhatsApp me or call me in this number or message me from my website. Okay, yeah, website address is also there in the description box. Okay, and if you are logging using the website ID, then you have to do it from Chrome, okay, for an easy pass. Now let's have some introductory details about the philosopher Longinus. Longinus, like Aristotle, he is also a Greek philosopher, and he is popular among the literary students and people who are interested in literature as the author of On the Sublime. So On the Sublime is believed to be written by Longinus, and he believed to be lived in the 3rd century AD. Robertello, he is an Italian critic, first presented the work to the modern readers in 1554 and got published this particular work On the Sublime in 1674 by Polio. Robertello, he is an Italian critic. He presented this particular work to the modern readers in the year 1554. So until then, Longinus On the Sublime was not only popular, but also it was not even known to the outer world, outer readers or modern readers. And it got published in the year 1674 by Boileau. And it is regarded as the Bible of neoclassicism. Until neoclassical age in England, this work was not that popular, even though it was published towards the end or last decades of the 17th century. But still, when neoclassicism arose in Europe, especially in England, the popularity of the work on Sublime also got raised, because the situation was favorable in the sense that literary persons and the people related to literature and those who are studying literature, everybody started to learn classical work. So in that way, neoclassical age was favorable for On the Sublime, and it became so popular that it began to be regarded as the Bible of neoclassicists. And various translations were there for the work. So it was written in Greek language, okay. So there were lot of translation came into being as this work got translated into English, okay. So the two of them I have mentioned here. First one was done by Hall, a person known as Hall, and he gave the title to the translation of the work as Of the Heights of Eloquence. Okay, so reflecting or trying to translate the Greek title On the Sublime, Of the Heights of Eloquence was the title given to a translation of this particular work by Hall that he has done in 1652. Another translation came out about or of On the Sublime as a treatise of the Loftings of Elegancy of Speech by Pulteney in the year 1680. So these are the two major translations that we can see about on the Sublime by Longinus. But what was the problem about this translation? So everything that they could translate, they translated very well, but they don't know how to find an equivalent word for the word sublime that he used in Greek. That he used in that particular original work. They cannot find an equivalent kind of word, translated word in English equivalent with that original word. Okay, so in that way the translation of the work on the Sublime went, and the work has a conversation mode. So here Longinus is actually talking to his friend. In that way the work begins and it carries out. It has a conversation mode. This is an important point because I have seen asking about this particular style of writing of Longinus on the Sublime in a previous question paper. Okay, so if you are sitting with a paper and pen, then that is great, because otherwise you simply listening to this video and just seeing the words on the screen are not sufficient enough. And if you have if you have a consistency in learning, then make sure that you are taking down notes. In the beginning of the work, Longinus addressing his friend. So this is why I already said, this is what I already said, that this work got a conversation mode, that when this work begins, Longinus addressing his friend Terentianus, and he tells the purpose behind writing this treatise as correcting the mistakes made by others and sharing his observations about literature. Okay, so in the beginning itself, by addressing his friend Terentianus, he says what is the purpose of writing this treatise, and the purpose is correcting the mistakes made by the authors throughout these times, and also sharing his observation about sublimity and great work of art, the enemies of sublimity and all. After this, he goes on defining sublimity. So once he has done with the addressing of his friend and telling about the purpose of writing this treatise, after that he goes on defining sublimity. What is sublime according to Longinus? Okay, so that's what we are going to discuss next. So what is sublimity? So mainly on the Sublime, he tells about and he defines sublimity, and he defines major assumptions that we have about sublimity in our mind, or assumptions about sublimity that major critics and writers possess in their mind, and also enemies of sublimity. What are the mistakes that are done by authors that goes against sublimity, and what are the sources of sublimity, and how sublimity can be achieved, and what are the things he says what are the things that we can do in order to achieve sublimity, like amplification, and also usage of correct metaphors and figures of speech. And he also discussed about the different kinds of figures of speech that need to be used, how and what kind of effects that can be brought about, and he particularly talks about dictions in order to bring about sublimity. So these are the major things that we can see on the Sublime, but we are not going to discuss all of them. Briefly we will discuss the relevant points only, because I have already given a great lecture about on the Sublime, audio lecture, in my website www.highpoint.in, because in YouTube channel we already have certain kind of constraints about time, because if it goes too lengthy, then that is a tiresome job to edit as well as upload and also listen to from your side. So let's have a glimpse at various kind of points, concepts that Longinus has about or had about sublimity. First of all, okay, if you are looking for more details about on the Sublime by Longinus and other literary criticism and theories, 21st century theories, criticism, and classical and traditional criticism, you can obviously go and visit my website and see in that module what we have provided, and yearly you will get elaborate kind of elaborate audio lectures systematically arranged following a chronology in there, and you can have it, and you can you can listen to them as much as you want. Okay guys, so moving on, If you want to know, you can obviously go to the website or you can message me in this given number. So what is sublimity? So sublimity is a certain loftiness and excellence of language. So sublimity is not about the storyline. Sublimity is not about the plot. So these are important, but still sublimity is how we are presenting these things in an elegant and in an excellent manner through a language, and what kind of things we are choosing to provide whatever we have in our mind, our ideas, our concepts in a well arranged manner in order to produce sublimity. So that particular use of loftful and excellent use of language is what sublimity is all about. Sublimity is all about. Okay, so it has been possibly only through sublimity that the greater poets and writers had delivered their eminence and achieved immortality. How certain poets and writers, how they are so excellent, how they are regarded as epic poets, not only because of their antiquity but also of their excellence in creating works. How could they create excellent works, and why we are regarding their works are excellent? Because of the excellence and loftiness of language that they used and the sublime way in which they presented their work. That's how they have become eminent and they have achieved immortality through their work of art. Okay, so that's how great poets, sublimity is one thing and the only thing that the great poets possessed when they write, when they produce a work of art. Okay, so sublimity does not only persuade the hearer or the reader but carries us away almost irresistibly. So it's like, when you read a sublime work which is excellent in its language and it was composed by a sublime poet or writer, it's not that it will persuade and it will actually grab your attention, but it will carries you away. You cannot resist yourself out of carrying away because you are reading this work. That's important is sublimity, and sublimity reveals itself in the structure of the work, in a flash of lighting, even in a single phrase. It's not that throughout the work sublimity will be blazing. Everything else, every other element in a work will blaze every time. It's not like that. Sublimity can reveal itself. It will expose itself maybe in the structure of the work itself, or in a flash of lighting, in a flash of moment, or in a flash of situation that is just going on in a work, or even a single phrase itself. Sublimity gets revealed in itself. Okay, so that's how he defines, Longinus defines sublimity. And Longinus tells that it's a mistake to believe that sublimity is an inborn talent and has nothing to do with art or artifice. See, many believe that, especially in the older times, that critics and writers believed that sublimity, that Homer, Virgil, these people had, it is an inborn talent. One should born with sublimity. To some extent, Longinus also says, when he discusses about elements of sublimity, he says that some elements are inborn, but it is not fully true, and it is a mistake to believe that sublimity is a truly inborn talent. And it has nothing to do with art, and it has nothing to do with practice, and it has nothing to do imitation, and it has nothing to do with artifice. So if you are believing that it's an inborn talent, then that is not completely true. And sublimity can be gained by the author and leave himself totally to the direction of genius. So sublimity, it is not fully an inborn talent, but it got a lot more things to do with imitation, art, artifice, and it can be gained through practice. So once you gain sublimity in that way, you can totally leave yourself as a great writer to the direction of genius. So that's about sublimity. Now let's see what are the enemies of sublimity according to Longinus. He goes on about it, but briefly I am provided notes here. So elaborate kind of discussions you can find in my website. Okay, go and check it. There are some elements that spoil the sublime or the loftiness inside a work, which are shortcomings of writer's style. So there are something, every other writer is not a great writer, a sublime writers. Only the chosen ones, only Some among them, only some of the ancient writers or some of the contemporary writers, we regard them as eminent or classical, or we can see epic or sublime writers. What makes them sublime writer? And they don't have certain elements, and they have eliminated certain elements that spoil sublime or the loftiness inside the work. So these elements, which are mainly the shortcomings of the writer, and that shortcoming will result affecting the style of their writing, their usage of the language, that will spoil the sublimity in it, in their work. Okay, so which are they? So I'll read the words first. Turbidity, triviality, grandiloquence, frigidity. So these are the major spoilers or enemies of sublimity. So what is turbidity? Turbidity is vagueness or bombast. Telling things in an exaggerated way, not in a realistic or a natural way, but in a bombastic way. So that is turbidity. Triviality is meekness or dullness, coldness. So these things are trivial. Triviality means trivial things means not important things. So you are giving more importance to not important things, no important things, and you are not giving sufficient amount of attention to the important things that is going on in the work. So that is triviality. Grandiloquence is pompousness, giving it's kind of bombastness only. That pompousness means that you are giving too much attention, you are giving a too much pompous treatment of the ideas and concepts, non-natural or unnatural or artificial kind of treatments, the concepts and ideas that you are sharing in your work. Frigidity is dullness and coldness. You are not using correct language, diction, or correct imagery or correct figures of speech in order to explain a certain situation or in order to carry out a certain situation inside the work, and thus the entire situation or the entire passage becomes dull or cold and not possessing any warmth. So that is frigidity. And he also tells about the source of these shortcomings of style. So he says that how come a writer's style affected with these kind of things like turbidity, triviality, grandiloquence, frigidity and all. So he cites as the common and the major source for these demerits is the grace for novelty of ideas. After that, he discusses about true and false sublimes. So I have seen a question asking about how many, according to Longinus, how many types of sublimes are there? There are only two types of sublimes according to Longinus, which are the true sublime and false sublime. Okay, so he distinguishes between true and false sublimes, two kinds of sublimes. What is true sublime? So, true sublime elevates the soul of the hearers, creating joy in them. That is the speciality of true sublime. It will elevate the soul, not the body, not the emotions, but it will elevate the soul of the hearer or the readers by creating joy within them, and it derives from lofty ideas couched in lofty diction. So, how true sublime arises or derives? And it will create joy in the hearers and elevate their soul. It will carried out, and this true sublime will be delivered through lofty, like true sublime ideas can only bring true sublime works. And these two ideas, these true sublime lofty ideas will be couched or will be wrapped in lofty and sublime diction or appropriate diction used in appropriate situation. Okay, nothing more, nothing less. And never goes stale. See, true sublime, what is the characteristic of true sublime? It never goes stale, it will never get decayed, or it never get dull or uninteresting, as it pleases all and pleases always. So this is an exact quotation from this work, that true sublime pleases all and pleases always. So that's the major speciality of true sublime. So what is false sublime? False sublime is a gaudy or showy exterior, as the inside is just hollow. Just think about a house, okay, where the exterior is so good, the construction from outside is so good, but when you go inside, nothing is there. So considering the outside exterior, the showy and gaudy exterior, when you go inside and deep into that building, then there is nothing. The interior is completely a hollow. There is no facility, nothing. It is not decorated good as well. So that's how false sublime looks like. Like from the outside, the work is good, work is ornamented, and it looks like it present with lofty and sublime ideas and all. But when you go deep and when you try to read and understand it, you'll understand that inside, deep down in this work, there is nothing. It's just a hollow. That's how false sublime works. The language clothed trivial thoughts such as bombastic, affected, showy, and artificial. So the language, it will clothe, it will wrap trivial thoughts. The language will be good, but it will clothe or it will wrap trivial or silly thoughts or irrelevant thought which are bombastic, which are unnatural, which are affected, which are showy, which are artificial. So the language will also go like that. The language will be a bombastic language. Like as you go deep down, it won't carry your soul into some other elevated status and create joy inside you, but it will only create dullness and coldness inside you. And it is a cheap exhibition of passion which is superfluous and unnatural. So as it is showy from the outside, you will get as an assumption of good interior, but when you go inside, nothing is there. So it's just a cheap exhibition of passion which is superfluous, which is exaggerated and bombastic and unnatural and artificial at the same time. So these are the characteristics of false sublime. Moving on, what is the next slide? Sources of true sublime. So after discussing about the two sublimes, he now goes and discusses about or tells about sources of true sublime. So what are the sources from which you can derive sublimity? Okay, first one is grandeur of thought. So it's a capacity of the writer to think of great concepts and thoughts. Everybody out there as a writer cannot bring about great thoughts and great concepts. But it's the capacity of a writer who can bring about great concepts and thoughts which are actually elevated from that writer himself or herself, which is beyond that writer or thinker. Okay. Great ideas will come out of great soul which is free from low and ignoble thoughts. So one who is carrying too much of low and ignoble thoughts, one who is having a life of ignoble life, and one who is too much materialistic, who care a lot about this world, they cannot bring about great ideas. They cannot have a great soul. So a great should be needed in order to bring about great ideas. Okay, and it is a power to produce really great literature. So if you have a great soul and you can bring about great ideas, then obviously there is a chance that you can bring about great literature, and that is grandeur of thought. Grandeur of thought is one of the most important source of true sublime. The next one is passionate and vehement expressions. So after this kind of a high thought of the author, by the author or the reader, the writer, now he or she needs to express those highly charged thoughts vehemently and passionately, eagerly, through skillful and systematic selection of the important events, emotions and passions. Okay, so you have a great story in your mind, full of great concepts and thoughts. So you are having a great thought inside you. That is not only that you needed, but you should know how to present that great highly charged thought and concept in a passionate and a vehement way by selecting important events, emotions, appropriate emotions and passions in it. So that is the next source of true sublimity. The third one is correct use of figures. So how you will express these thoughts and ideas and concepts, highly charged ones, in a vehement and passionate manner through correct use of figures. So correct use of figures in order to convey your thoughts, and correct use of figures of direction. So you have to use figures in two major different ways. The figures that will that will create the thoughts and concepts and ideas that you have with you and make them present in a fashionable way. And you will use figures of speech in order to direct your audience or direct your readers or hearers into another level of status or another elevated or elite state of mind while they are hearing or reading your work. So you are using two kind of figures for these two reasons. Okay. Next one, noble diction. So you have a great concept with you. You know how to present them vehemently and passionately. What are events you need to present, the appropriate emotions and events. You know them and you know the figures. Now you need to choose correct and noble diction in order to arrange the words, in order to present them in a masterly way. So proper selection. After that, you need to know where you should use these proper words and dictions, and you should also know how to arrange these selected words inside your work while you present your great thought. So proper mastery of the correct use of metaphor and other ornament of language is also comes under noble diction. That is also a great source of sublimity. Next one is dignified and elevated composition. So this is mainly about the rhythm of the entire work. So these are the major five components or five sources of sublimity. What are they? Grandeur of thought, vehement and passionate expressions, then correct use of figures, noble diction, dignified and elevated composition. So out of these five, the first two sources are inborn, like grandeur of thought, vehement and passionate expression of thought is these two are. First two are inborn, genius, while the rest three of them, right, like correct use of figures, noble diction, dignified and elevated composition, these are attainable by art. That's why Longinus say that if you believe that sublimity is an inborn talent, then that is not fully correct. You are making a mistake there by believing it that way. Okay, but it is not fully, you cannot achieve sublimity fully just like that by practicing, but grandeur of thought and passionate and vehement expression, these are inborn talents only. Next concept that he discusses is amplification. Okay, so amplification is that, when you increase the strength of sound, right? So just like that, it is increasing the strength of sound through the combination of telling details on the subject. You are making something strengthful, or you make it sound through the combination of telling the details about that subject. So it has close relation to sublimity. So this amplification is more or less equal to sublimity, but it has certain differences. Amplification will bring attraction, force and magnitude to the style. Magnitude means a certain level of length, and forcefulness, attraction. Amplification is increasing strength. So while you increase strength using various combinations in a work, it will bring attraction, it will force the readers or hearers to be attentive and make it irresistible, and also create a certain kind of magnitude of the style of that work. So the author in amplification brings impressive points one after another. So strength giving means if you are increasing the volume of a sound, volume of an audio, you will continuously increase the volume, right? Just little by little you will increase the volume. So just like that, author one after another gives impressive points, great thoughts and impressive concepts one after another in an ascending order, as in an increasing order, and it elevates and uplifts the reader. Thereby the subject gets an extension. Okay, subject means the subject in which the author is presenting the impressive thoughts and impressive great ideas. Okay, so that subject matter will get an extension from the author to the reader and to the soul of the reader, and the soul will be elevated to some other levels. So in that way the subject will get an extension. How? Through amplification. Amplification is quite near to sublimity, but it's not the same. Okay, so how he can create amplification? By giving impressive points one after another. The chief difference between amplification and sublimity is that amplification needs certain length and width, while sublimity can be seen in single fact or in a single phrase, like I said earlier. Okay, so amplification, so you are increasing the volume, that actually needs some time, right, for you to get this volume in full strength. Just like that, one after another, you have to present the impressive ideas and points in an ascending order. That needs a certain kind of length and width in order to fulfill this amplification, and you get some kind of force and attraction magnitude while you read that. Okay, but sublimity is a thing that you can present in a single phrase, in a single situation, in a single paragraph. It is just like a flash of lightning. Okay, sublimity can be that brief, but it can be that forceful too. But amplification needs certain length and width. Okay, moving on, he tells about imitation, how imitation can bring about sublimity. So imitation of great poets can also bring sublimity. How? These great poets, these sublime poets, they are already created sublime works. So they are having great souls, they are having a grandeur of thought already. So imitating these grandeur of thought will always bring sublimity. By imitation, he doesn't mean that simply imitating their style, simply imitating their way of presenting something, but you have to look and imitate to an antique writer or poet in such a way that the imitator should ask himself or herself as to how Homer or Plato would have expressed the idea in question, and also as to how the coming ages will judge his composition. He has to, or she has to, as a writer, when they are going to imitate a great poet or writer, or antique writer or poet, they have to think backward and forward. Like, you have a idea in question, so you must think in such a way that, and try to imitate the great writer in such a way that you should ask yourself that how Homer or Plato will express, if they are having this idea, how they are going to express this idea in question that I have now, and also how this idea in presented in certain way is going to be judged by the future readers. This question, when a writer asks himself, when he or she is planning to imitate a great writer, so that is the most exciting question that he or she can have, okay, while imitating a great artist or writer. Now he tells about the uses of figures. So we are just touching upon his major ideas. The detailed summary is there on my website. You can go and watch it. Go and listen to it. The use of figures. Correct use of figures or images can also bring sublimity. So, like imitation, correct use of figures is also one of the major source of sublimity. The purpose of poetical image is to surprise the reader, while the rhetorical images brings vividness and clarification. There can be two kinds of images, basically poetical and rhetorical images. Poetical images will surprise the readers by bringing them into the work, while rhetorical images, they will bring vividness, clarity and naturalness in the context. The figures must be used in right places and appropriately employed in natural manner to create a sublime effect. It's like, figure of speech, usage of figure of speech, most of the writers, they'll do uses of figure of speech, right? That will actually create a kind of strangeness, bring about novelty, it will bring about a kind of literariness inside the work. But still, if it is not used in the right place and appropriately, suitably and employed in a natural manner, then it will be bombastic and it will become trivial, dull, and it will create boredom inside the readers. So, usage of figure or speeches or figures, it is advisable to create sublimity, but you have to use it right in the right place, appropriately and in a natural way. Unnatural images and figures evoke suspicion, confusion, boredom in the readers. Okay. So artlessness is the great art. So these are the words by Longinus. Artlessness is the great art. Okay. Artlessness is the great art. What does that mean? So when you read a sublime work, when you read a figure of speech used in a context appropriately, you won't even see a kind of unnaturalness, a kind of difference there that author has used a figure of speech there. Naturally, you will read it, you will find it an organic unity of that work, and you won't feel that any art, or art in the sense any strangeness or any unnaturalness or inappropriateness or something difference there. So that's how artlessness is the great art. The figure is best when it escapes the attention of the reader. So that's how we can explain this sentence. Artlessness is the great art. So a figure of speech or image is best used in a work when it escapes the attention of the reader, when the reader is not particularly attended to that particular figure. No, but the figure may convey the situation in a better way, carry the reader into a different level of different elevated status, but still the reader won't be aware that he or she is reading or listening to a particular figure in a particular situation. So that kind of escape of a figure is the best figure used ever in a work. Okay, the next one is the different figures and their right use. According to Longinus, there are three, and many he is telling. I have just chosen most important one that Longinus gives us. First one is apostrophe. So apostrophe is a figure of speech. It evokes, appeal or address the reader to awaken their passion. So if you are using apostrophe, then it will evoke, if it is used in a proper manner in the suitable situation, okay. It evokes, appeal or address to the reader to awaken their passion. Then rhetorical questions and answer. So when you ask rhetorical questions and answer, you are making your language quite impressive, effective, and it will also evoke and it will make the work convincing to the readers and the situation convincing to the readers, but it must be inspired. So the rhetorical questions or answers must be given only when it gets inspired by the passion or the occasion and should unfold naturally. You cannot put a rhetorical question in an improper way, because if you do that, it will result in reverse manner. Okay, so rhetorical questions and answers, they are a great way, that they are great figures, but still you have to use it judiciously, in the sense that it should unfold naturally and it should be effective, and it should be it should be inspired by the situation and passion, and it should come out of the writer in a most natural way. Next one is asyndeton. Asyndeton, it's an omission of connectives between words and sentences, and the effect of such omission is one of rush and torrent of passion. So in order to show rushfulness and torrentness of passion, you can use this particular figure, asyndeton. It's an omission of connectives between words, connection between words and sentences, and the effect of such omission. When you omit that connectives between words and sentence, what will create? It will create a rush and torrent of passion. So if it is used properly, then it will bring a kind of passion or emotion, or that emotion will be carried out to the readers appropriately and elevate their mind and soul. So that's all about the major things related to Longinus on Sublime. So we have seen the definition of Sublime there, two kinds of Sublimes, sources of Sublimes, enemies of Sublime, amplifications, imitation, and many more things. So I have just touched upon the major concept that Longinus gives in on the Sublime, and if you are interested in having a detailed class about on the Sublime, you can of course go and visit my website. You can see how we have arranged various topics for you, and how we have given, here we have after cultural studies we have given literary theory and criticism, and in which you can see how we have arranged the topic. So you can have all these things once you have subscribed to the channel. See all these things, part 1, part 2, like we have divided for your own convenience, so that the audio may not go too lengthy for that will create boredom inside you. So if you are interested, you can obviously come to our website and have the free trial first. Have the free trial first, then you can have a look at our website, what are topics we are giving, and also what are the things that we are telling you inside each of these topics. And if you are interested, you can join for the course, and you can have 2 bonuses while you join for the course for now, as weekly testing every Saturdays, and also personalized guidelines. For now, we are not charging anything for these 2 bonuses, but maybe in the future, you never know. So grab the offer and grab the 15% off too that we have there in the website for you. That's all about it. So don't forget to follow me on Instagram too, where I am sharing a lot of free contents related to NTU UGC NET JRF. And also, if you want to join the WhatsApp group, then go to the description box and click the link and join, or message me in this given number. And if you are interested in joining the course, also message me or call me in this number given here. That's all about it. Meet you in the next video class. Until then, stay tuned to High Point, and also keep loving literature and happy learning. Bye bye. Thank you.